Nearly 4 years ago, here in the FS group, it was given birth to a new direction, and it is called the Stations Direction, and it's a brand new branch, totally focused on the railway station. This new direction had immediately to face some new challenges, and in particular, one of the first things that we had to deal with was to really and deeply understand the relationships between the railway stations and the environment outside. And this way, we felt immediately the need to gather together all the possible data to let us understand how the station could work, what were their vocations, what could be their future. We started developing our platform that is called Station Land. The name itself somehow represents our intention to investigate the relationships between the station and the land around. In 2 years, we managed to put together probably one of the widest database in Italy, including all possible informations about transport, about economy, about social aspects. And now this platform, Station Land, is one of the most important tools that we use in our company to think of the station and to think of their future. There are very, very many possible applications of this location intelligence platform, and we are using the platform to dimension all the services in the stations. We use it to understand what kind of services are needed for our passengers, and it's helping us deciding what kind of services we can put both inside and outside the stations. The examples on this field are really several. The first one I'd like to mention is what we are doing with sharing mobility. We have managed to map all the sharing services that there are in Italy. Every and each sharing mobility operator is mapped in Station Land. And this is allowing us to have a perfect knowledge of how many sharing services there are around the station and how many vehicles are available in the covering area. And I'm talking about car sharing, both station-based and free-floating, scooter sharing, bike sharing. In this way, we are basically acting in two ways. We are talking to the sharing mobility operators and persuade them to take stations, railway stations, into account when they design their covering area. And second, we are talking very deeply to the administrations, to the institutions, to persuade them to take out some private car spaces outside the station and leave room for sharing mobility services. For us, this is deeply important. A private car occupies 16 square meters to take one person to a station, and it remains still and cold all day in the same place. if we take the same room and leave it for sharing services from the same space, you can see arriving and leaving maybe 30 people. This means for us 30 times more the transport capacity. And then it's a car that doesn't belong to anyone. It occupies less room in the city. It has got a lower environmental impact. And this is totally in line with our policy of reducing the carbon footprint of transport. We do believe that the train is the backbone of the Italian sustainable mobility system, and we have to make partnerships, we have to make friends with all the low carbon mobility systems. Mapping all these informations around the stations, every single school, university, hospital, cinema, restaurant, bar, every kind of activity around the station today allows us to have a complete map of what's going on around our stations. In particular, we pay great attention to what's going on in 1 kilometer around the stations. It's our pedestrian catchment area, and it's the most important for us. Nearly 50% of all of our passengers come to a station by foot, and so that kilometers around the stations is our most important piece of city. There's a lot of talking around about the concept of 15-minute city. And it's a good talk. It's very interesting. It's part of our future. Proximity is something that really can change your life. Most of this debate is focused on the quarters of the cities. And cities are looking at themselves, trying to measure how many services there are in 15 minutes from the people's home. But in Italy, for nearly 3 million people every day, the railway station is their second door of their house. They come from villages or small towns all around the main metropolitan areas. And when they arrive to their destination station and they open the door of the station, that basically their 15 minutes by foot start from there. And so we are trying to work out what is needed for them in that kilometer around the station. In one direction, to try and understand what kind of service we can put into the station, and so develop our asset in this direction. Secondly, we are talking to the cities, to the administrations, to persuade them to gather together around the stations all the kind of services that are needed for the people that get there by train. In this way, we do believe that we can make people's lives easier and better.